Guy, your fly's open and your hostess Twinkie is hanging out,
huh? My name's Arch Cummings, and I'm on a mission here. I'm on a mission to bed as many women as humanly possible. Nan's out, to be honest. She likes the theater, and, well, you know what I'm saying. She's out of the first round draft choices, if you know what I mean. That's a, yes, I'm a fan of April Fool's Day. That's some dialogue from it, from the, who played Biff? Is it Thomas F. Wilson or something like that?
Something like
that.
That
guy, I love that guy. And
He's
I can only remember seeing him in the 3 Back to the Futures and April Fool's Day. I don't know. I'm assuming he must be in other things.
He was a cop in a movie I saw recently, actually.
Was he in a movie recently?
Yeah.
Oh wow, because I thought he dropped off. I love that guy, and that leads me to one of the probably my favorite thing about April Fool's Day, which is the characters and the people who play them. The best thing about April Fool's Day for me is the characters.
You're friends with Muffy St. John?
Sure am. We sit together in Econ 345. I let her copy my marginal utility curves.
Oh, I get it. That's a joke.
Art. How? Springsteen, still the boss.
I love the characters, and I love the way the characters are portrayed. They're portrayed very real. This is before movies now, where I think that more times often than not, people are just beautiful in movies, and they just say lines that are just so stale, and they don't seem like people to me. That's my take on movies. You know, a lot of movies that I see now. This is, you know, when you watch April Fool's Day, one of the things and instantly, because I saw this when I was like, I don't know what, you know, 14, 15 for the first time. And one of the things instantly I loved is just how much that it's almost like the acting and the way the characters interact is almost like it was just videotaped. I mean, it's so realistic. And for me, that's the most enjoyable thing about April Fool's Day.
Help me out.
Yeah, sure.
I can imagine this movie. I don't know. I can imagine this movie probably got a lot of flack. I was too young to really, you know, to pay attention to. You know, I didn't really know about it. But I can imagine this is one of those movies that got a whole lot of flack. The problem, I think they did the exact right thing. We can do spoilers because it's a very old movie. So basically,
it's like 30 years old.
Yeah. So basically, the premise, if you haven't seen it, is, well, I'm going to spoil it. So, but yeah. If you haven't seen it and don't want to be spoiled, stop the video now.
I urge you to see the movie first.
Yeah, see the movie, and if you're not going to see the movie, just continue whatever. But you know, it's perfect that they did exactly what they did for a movie, for an April Fool's movie, and that was, I think, it was bold, but I thought it was the only choice. You had to go that route. I mean, that basically everything, and I thought it was done really great, because what they did at the very beginning is they threw in blatant jokes that they were playing on each other, and then they said, ha ha, April Fools, so then they got those out of the way. So then you're like, okay, they're the fake ones. And then when stuff starts happening, you're like, oh gosh, okay, here it is for real. The only problem is, as if you go into the movie thinking this is a horror movie, the only problem is, and it's unbeatable, I mean, there's no way around it when you do a movie that's got fake kills, is the only problem is, as the kills are happening, you don't see anything. Because you can't, if people aren't dying in the movie, you can't show them die because they're not dying. So I can see, like, someone who's going in to see gore in a horror movie frustrated because, you know, like Thomas, if that's his name, I think it is, Thomas F. Wilson, he's hanging upside down by the rope, and he looks at someone, he's just like, you know, like, oh my gosh, and then they cut away. I mean, that's not exactly gonna satisfy the gore hounds, you know. That's the one complaint about it. If you're going into it, you know, but it's like I say, it's unavoidable. There's no way you can show people die because no one dies. But I think April Fool's Day is really great. And what's ironic is, for me, the funnest part of the movie is just when people, just the beginning, when you're getting introduced to the characters and they're doing all the jokes. And it's, you know, normally in a horror movie, I guess maybe the middle to the end is when it gets exciting because everyone's dying and all this stuff. But April Fool's Day for me is the opposite, where it's like, the more people disappear, you know, because you like to see the people interact.
Yeah.
It's like when they disappear, it becomes less fun and less fun and less fun. Oh, it should be noted that Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part 2 fame is in this, and that was very cool. I think that Frank Mancuso, I don't know if he had a part to play in the second Friday the 13th in the producer royal or not, but he I think was a producer of April Fool's Day, Frank Mancuso Jr.
It was made by some of the people who did Friday the 13th, right? The April Fool's.
Well, I think they billed it as that because Frank Mancuso Jr.
Okay.
Took the reins either from Part 2 or 3, whatever, on for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why they billed it as from the makers of Friday the 13th
Okay.
or whatever. So what's ironic is it came out probably, if not the same year, within a year or two of Friday the 13th Part 5, which is another fake out movie. So so Frank Mancuso.
It just pissed people off for a
That
full
must
year.
that must have, well, not for just a full year, probably pissed people off eternally. But what's funny is, the same guy within a year or something does these 2 fake out movies. The only problem with the fake out aspect that I don't like about April Fool's Day is after they do the whole reveal, which I think I think the whole premise is perfect because this girl inherited this huge house on the island, so she can't exactly, unless she gets like a $100,000 an hour job, she can't exactly pay to keep it up and pay taxes on it and everything like that. So I thought that the premise was perfect, that her plan is to open it, to turn it into a bed and breakfast or whatever, but not just an ordinary, as she says, run down, whatever, country inn, as she says, but turn it into like a whodunit, make it fun. And so she was testing on her friends. And I thought that was a great premise. The only problem with the movie is after she tells all of her friends and they have a party and that, I thought it was really stupid because for one last minute, or for one last time, she goes into her room, it's all horrific, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And she does a little box thing, which we see in the credits, that she was, another thing, the opening credits might hint that, kind of like Jason Voorhees, that maybe she was born on April 1st or something, because I don't know if you remember, but the opening credits have a flashback of her it's a birthday party, and a girl is presumably her, who's opening up a Jack-in-a-Box, and it's all pretty with eggs or whatever on it, and it's like, blah, a monster comes out, and you hear all the adults laughing. And so that's something that it just makes you think, well, maybe she was, just as a throwaway thing, maybe she was born on April 1st,
Yeah, probably.
like Jason was born on Friday the 13th or whatever. And so anyway, at the end, she's opening this thing that someone left on her bed as presumably a birthday present or something, and then a character from the movie, like all of a sudden she's like, her head gets pulled back and her throat slit. So it's like, it's the third fake. It's just one too many, I think.
Yeah.
And we think, oh my God, she's really dying for real because she played this prank on people. And then she's like, fake knife, ha ha ha. And it's like, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So.
They got a little too overexcited. How many stars?
Yeah, I'd go 3. I think it's very, very great. The only problem is, as a horror movie, if you're looking for gore, I memean, there's severed fake heads floating in the well, but I mean, there's no one dies, so there's basically no gore. So I love it, but being a horror movie with no gore has its problems. So 3, but I just love it. The characters, I love it.
Morning.
I'm gonna go 2.5 on this one. I saw it and it was a lot better than I expected. It was one of those movies I always sort of intended to see, but I'm not a huge, as I've discussed before and might be hated for, I'm not a huge Friday the 13th fan.
No hate
the whole,
here. Wait, you're not a huge Friday the 13th? You son of a...
Sorry. So yeah, I'm not a huge Friday the 13th fan, and that was what sort of held me from watching the movie. But then when our video store was closing, I decided, now's the time, so I rented it. And the fact that it was made by the Friday the 13th people, I think, made me have really mixed feelings about it, because you go in and you expect, because by the 4th movie it was all about the blood and guts and gore and mayhem in the Friday the 13th series, and they just got really progressively more violent as it seemed to go on until the 6th one, which wasn't as violent if memory serves.
It's pretty violent.
It's pretty violent. See, there you go.
Part 8, we'll get into those.
So anyway, So I was sort of expecting that, and when everything was happening off screen, I was like, this is actually kind of interesting because it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't. So I like it because it was.
I get it.
I was like, they're showing some like artistic integrity. What are they doing? They're leaving it up to our imagination. And the brilliance of the movie is that it was an April Fool's prank on us, as the viewer. And being that it was April, around the time that our store was closing, I saw it right around April 1st. I think it might have been like a year ago today, actually, because it was a couple days after.
Oh, sure.
So that's kind of neat. But anyway, so I liked it for that respect. I mean, it has the same sort of problems. I don't like a faceless killer thing, but then at the end of the movie, it's not a faceless killer, so I can't really criticize. Yeah, exactly. I can't really criticize it for that, and so there, like the problems are sort of addressed within the movie itself. I find it a little hard to buy all of that actually happening, but I mean, what are you gonna do? It's a movie. You see a movie for reasons. You can't expect everything in a movie to be realistic, or that everything is gonna actually happen. So yeah, I liked the movie. I enjoyed it while I watched it. It didn't really stick with me too much, but I did enjoy the movie. So I'm gonna give it a really super strong 2.5. I could probably even tip the scale and make it a dual 3 here, because it was a well-made movie. It had nice suspense. It had you mentioned the characters, and the characters were very entertaining. And,
I think very funny.
Much more so than like the Friday the 13th ones, because I didn't really feel like they developed the characters after the second movie in the Friday the 13th movies until like the 6th one. Like, the characters in the 5th one, I don't even remember, really. The only character that I remember from the 4th one was the Michael Jackson guy, and that was just because he was Michael Jackson.
Oh, that's from the 5th one.
Is that the 5th? There you go. So, yeah, there was no character development in some of those movies at a certain point. So then when this one, as I was watching it, I'm like, how is this made by the same people?
Yeah,
like,
because
it's really,
these characters are great.
Yeah, the characters are really strong, and so yeah, I'm gonna tip it over to 3 stars.
Hey.
I've altered my.
That's
review.
I think the first time.
First time I've altered my my review.
See, I was doing my.
Come on, 3, you know it's a 3. But yeah, so I'm 3 stars, 2 3 stars here.
2 3 stars. 2 sets of 3.
2 sets of 3 stars.
I was like 2 3 stars.
What? 2 3-star reviews.
1 2 3 stars. Okay. April Fool's Day. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. I mean, I just think the humor is so great, and the humor comes from the people just interacting with each other, and the humor that is exists between them and the characters. I don't know how to say his name, but the Clayton. I don't know how to say his last name, but that guy I think was really great. He went on to the only other thing I ever saw him in was I, Madman, which is actually, have you seen I, Madman? Which is actually a pretty good movie as well. But like I say, the best thing about this movie is the characters and the great cast they got to fill the characters' shoes. It's just so entertaining. April Fool's Day, thanks for watching, and we tried to do this before April Fool's, but we're doing it on, we almost made it. What, 2 days, 2 days
It's
late?
April Fool's month.
It's April Fool's month. So happy April, happy spring. Yes. We'll catch you later.